Hey guys, if you are into low-code tools like Cursor or Claude, today I'm going to explain and kind of share my personal opinion, what I think about Claude Code, about Cursor, and really which one is the best one in my personal opinion if you are working with low-code tools in 2025. And if that sounds good, guys, let's go ahead and dive into it right away. So I used to be a huge fan of Cursor when it just came out because the plan was really good. It was something like $20 a month, and you had 500 requests. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you were using the Cloud 3.7 at the time or whatever the GPT model. Okay, so all the high-end models were kind of consolidated into 500 requests, regardless of the model type. Okay, where recently Cursor has changed that, which is not really good in my opinion, because I'm going to share this tab with you guys. So here, the way it works, the Pro plan now is essentially consolidated into 225 Sonnet 4 or Cloud 4 requests, okay, 550 Gemini, and 650 4.1 requests. Okay, before that it was 500, regardless of whichever the high-end model you were using. Okay, so again, they literally cut the Pro plan into half. Okay, what it used to be, and now essentially need to upgrade to Pro Plus, which is essentially around, I think, I don't know how much is it, like $100, something like that. Or if you want to, you need to upgrade to Ultra, which is like $20 a month. Again, Ultra is really good if you're really, doing a lot of client work. It's still really cheap. If you do this on a separate basis, you would probably, pay way more than 200. But again, I do believe that using Cloud Code these days is much better within Cursor because Cloud Code recently updated the way it works. So if you have Pro subscription, you can have Cloud Code to operate under the same subscription, meaning that you don't have to use a separate API key in Cursor. Okay, so whatever you do, it's going to be under your Cloud Pro limit. So if you hit the limit, I'm just going to say something like, hey, you exceeded your limit. Please wait until like 5 or 8 p.m. Okay, which is really annoying. I think that once they release their max plan, they really cut down by like good, probably half or so. I never got any, max limit kind of reached with the 3.7. I was really abusing it in a sense, but now once I release the max, I'm always hitting the limit. So at this point, you're kind of forced to upgrade to the $200 a month plan if you're extensively working with, something, like automations, generating templates, and, just doing a bunch of local stuff. You're going to be hitting limits pretty fast. But again, let's kind of explore how that fits into Cursor. Also talk about the Cursor. We'll maybe create a small demo project in Next.js and kind of see how they stack up against each other, guys. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that right away. Guys, I'll be using something called WSL because on Windows. So in order for me to use Claude Code on Windows, I had to install WSL. It was a bit of a journey in a sense. So I kind of documented everything into this doc, which you will be able to download for free. So just go check out below the video in the description box. There's going to be a link to this document, it's Google Doc, whatever, with all the sort of step-by-step and kind of a troubleshooting that I went through to install WSL and everything that you need to launch WSL on your Windows machine. And so you can run Claude Code because by default, it's not compatible. You do need to have a WSL and Ubuntu on your Windows machine, okay? So if you're struggling, check out this doc. It might solve all your problems if you've been trying to install Claude Code on your Windows, guys, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. So right here, I have two options here. This is standard PowerShell, guys. I'm sure you've seen that one, okay? And here's the WSL, guys. So the way I got it, you're just gonna click on here, on the, whoops, on this one. You're gonna click on this right here, on this little drop-down menu, and I already have the WSL, but in my case, I can add, actually I can I? Yeah, I can. So here, I can add another one, the duplicate one. So the way it's going to work, once you install the WSL, it's going to be available as drop-down option for the terminal windows. Okay, so if you don't have WSL, obviously you're not going to have it yet. So make sure to check out the doc and install WSL if you want to work with Claude Code. So cool, guys. Before I do anything, let's do this. Let me just go back to my desktop, and I'm going to create latest next.js. Okay, so we're just going to create a Next.js project as the boilerplate. I'm going to call it something like Claude Code. Okay, just because we're doing that. TypeScript, yeah, sure, why not? ESLint, I don't want that. Tailwind, yes, of course. Source directory, I don't need that. App router, sure, why not? We might do some basic API, maybe not. Turboback, sure, why not? And we'll just essentially click yes to everything. And now let's install it. And once it's going to be good to go, I'm going to show you how Claude Code integrates into your cursor, right? And again, in my opinion, the biggest selling point for Claude Code is that it goes under your pro subscription. So you don't need to pay for extra API keys and API calls if you want to, plug it into your cursor. Although I have it here, I have the API keys as well as as API keys to be used by cursor, because I'm not using cursor's agent. Because if you want to use cursor's agent, you have to pay $20 to cursor. And I do feel like it's limited these days. It's all, they cut it all in half. So it's kind of pointless. Why would I pay for an AI agent that literally has like barely 200 requests, where I can kind of put everything under my Cloud Pro subscription? But for cursor use, I did add my API keys, so the cursor can do its thing. So it's right here under the models. I have the basics 3.7. I have my Chat GPT or OpenAI APIs key as well added in here, guys. So I have essentially my OpenAI and my Claude API key, and also I have the Gemini or Google API key. So these are essentially to be used by the cursor, because I'm not using their agent. It's kind of the only benefit it has this a graphic user interface where it can kind of replace the code for you. But again, Claude Code can right now do the same thing. All right, so not too much use for agent for me at this stage. Okay, so the Next.js project got installed. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna head over to the project. So we're gonna do something like cd cloud _code. So this way we go into the project, and I forgot the command to launch actually the Next.js. Was it npm or npx? Next.js server. I keep forgetting because I go between the Vite and Next.js. So okay, it's dev. So let's check out and make sure that we have it up and running. Cool, so it's working, guys. Let me just bring it here, guys, so we kind of have everything organized and we have access to everything as we go. Awesome. So the only thing, I think I'm in the wrong folder here. So what I need to do, open the correct folder from here, Claude Code. Okay, I think we need to restart the server now because we reopened the we? Yeah, we do. If I refresh, it's probably going to be crashed. Cool. So let's rerun the server. So now we are in the right folder. Let's refresh. Cool. So now we're good to go. So if I want to use, for example, the API keys within the cursor, okay, I can do something like create a simple chatbot dashboard for me. Okay, so now it's going to essentially do its thing. And since I'm not using the agent, I need to copy paste the code and kind of follow the instructions manually. So it's still no code, but still a bit of work. So if you are really completely into, less code as possible, then Claude Code is definitely a way to go. So this is pretty standard, guys, very similar to, if you guys are working with Claude web version. So it's going to go through the steps, kind of analyze, strategize, create architecture, and then tell you what to do. But for example, if we want to do the same thing with the Claude Code, so let's go to our WSL terminal. Let's wait for the Claude Code to launch. And all we really need to do, we just need to type in Claude. So this command will launch the Claude Code. Okay, let's make sure that we are in the right folder. We are, so we give access to Claude Code. Cool, so now we are good to go. Yep, awesome. So we're gonna do the same thing here. I'm just gonna pull this command and bring it here, send it to Claude Code. So the way it's gonna do, so while it's doing its thing, the cursor one, essentially it explains you how to do it, in which folders to copy paste the code, how to architecture the project, the folder structure. So you need to go to layout right here, replace everything in there. And it's still kind of a simple, you just literally follow step by step. But in here, I believe it's gonna essentially, we'll be able to replace the code for you. And what's really cool, it kind of gives you the breakdown of what it's doing. So here it kind of examined the existing code base, and then it's gonna create a, components, and it's gonna do styling and functionality and stuff like that. But something crashed. Okay, I see. Try to use the use client. It's a pretty common error with Next.js. I think when you're trying to use client in server-based components, it's gonna throw that. I forgot the exact case, but something to do with that. Let's see if it can catch that and fix it on its own as well. Cool. So now it's saying if it wants me, if I wanted to kind of edit the page. So let's see if we can accept this one. I believe we can. So here, do you want me to make edit to the page TSX? So let's see the page TSX before everything. Okay, so essentially it's going to be making change to this one right here. So that's kind of the home page. Okay, so we're going to say, sure, yes, do it. So now it's going to replace the entire thing. Cool. So we have a very basic HTML structure, and it was instant, guys. So that's pretty awesome. Without us actually, doing anything, just saying yes and no. Now it's saying that we need to start the development server. Sure, I believe it is running, but let's see. And again, it's pretty awesome that it's going through the steps. So it created a chatbot, added input fields, that is true, and did the basic styling. Obviously, the styling is like super basic. There's very minimal stuff. And now it's essentially rebuilding it, okay? I believe that's a bit of an overkill. You don't need to rebuild the build with Next.js because it gets rebuilt automatically on the change. But it's still, it's a cool thing that it's kind of trying to follow the best practices when it comes to, updating components and then rebuilding the entire project. So it took roughly 10 minutes to create this dashboard. And again, it's a really easy way to create mockups directly within the cursor using Claude Code. And again, it is able to replace the code for you, meaning that you don't really need to copy paste anything at all. Where if you're using something like the cursors option here, you would need to essentially copy paste the code manually unless you want to subscribe to their Pro plan, which gives you the access to agent. An agent essentially can write the code for you and replace everything, create components and stuff like that. And again, that's kind of the upside of the Cursor Pro plan. The only downside, you will run out of the credits very fast because when you're building something, 200 credits for the high models will go really, really fast for you, and you're probably gonna run out of those credits within the next couple of 2-3 days max. So again, it's a bit of a trouble to work with Claude Code because it does make a couple of errors. So you can essentially kind of combine that. You're going to be creating the general mockup and the, for example, architecture with the Claude Code, and then you can fix a couple of bugs with the API keys connected to your cursor, either to OpenAI or Claude. And again, it's much more efficient than having a pro plan with cursor because $20 there. $20 for the Claude. So kind of doesn't make sense. And again, it's very limited. So what you can do, you can use Claude Code to create mockups like this, and then work with your own API keys to kind of adjust this style and make it better. So in my personal opinion, if you're using Claude already, and if you are used to Claude and everything, and you're using the API keys, then you can definitely cancel the Cursor Pro plan because again, they are just keep cutting. They keep cutting it down in terms of the limits and the how much you can use the high-end models. And I believe that they're just going to keep reducing it down the road more and more to kind of locking people to subscribing to higher plans. So if you're somebody who's using Claude, you can essentially use Claude Code on your Windows machine and then maybe add some supplementary API keys from OpenAI or even Claude to kind of mix and match them together so you get to work with one single platform to build out your web app or mobile application, for example. So if you're looking for a unified solution, then definitely go with Claude because you have Claude Code, and you have the API keys from Claude, and then you just plug and play them into Cursor without being dependent on their subscriptions and limits. And again, if you go with the Max, if you're really doing a lot of development stuff and really just maxing out your tokens and usage with Cursor or even Claude, and if you want to kind of combine everything into one pot, then definitely Max is a good option because from what I read on Reddit, people are barely hitting the limits on the Max, especially people who are developing extensively, just really abusing the Claude to the point of coming back. So they said they almost never had any limits on the Max, where they did hit on the Pro Plus plan, okay, meaning that you get 5 more usage than Pro. People are still hitting limits, but if you go with the Max, you can essentially have the Claude Code connected to your cursor like I have here right here, okay, and you can basically generate almost unlimited UI mockups and web apps and mobile apps and really get the max out of the cloud without ever hitting the ceiling for the tokens and the usage. Where again, if you go with Cursor, guys, if you look at the screen, it's pretty limited because they kind of going with the same marketing like Claude. They're saying 20 times more usage on all models. But if you kind of will look at the terms and conditions, you will kind of see that the limits are pretty hard. Okay, so for the Pro Plus, you get 675 requests or 1600 Gemini and stuff like that. If you go with Ultra, you are still capped at 4,500 requests. Okay, so Cloud is definitely better price for the budget because you won't be able to really at any point to hit any limits, or at least what I read on Reddit, nobody has really yet hit any limits on the max plan. Where with the Cursor, it could be an issue. And again, Cursor, that's kind of a sneaky way. It can give you lower model requests without you ever telling you guys. So I've seen that on my dashboard where I have the Pro plan and I use the high models, and they still give me the something like 3.5 Haiku and the lower tier models, although I'm on Pro and I'm still within my limits. Yeah, and that's it, guys. So if you did enjoy the video, like always, like and subscribe and make sure notifications are enabled so you get notified when the next video drops. And guys, you already know, as always, I'm gonna see you next time.